Imagine announcing a live stream. Just imagine. Couldn't be me, I guess. But I'm going for it. I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it. Am I doing it? Am I live? It says I'm not live. It simultaneously says I'm live and then I'm not live. Oh, okay. It didn't go live on the event that I created, of course. I'm doing it. I think I'm doing it. Am I doing it? Okay, I hear myself. Oh, not like I made a whole fucking thumbnail for this and everything. Let's go ahead and upload that. Maybe get some links out. If you're watching this VOD style, you know, just skip ahead of this part. Ads off. Why would that be the case? I hate when I go live and nothing is working right. And not for any particular reason. Just isn't for no reason. Alright, let me fix a few things real quick just to make it make sense. Yep, it goes in the playlists. How do I turn on can I get the monetization on? Why would I ever not want this on? I'm pretty sure I have it on by default too. But you know, whatever. Do I expect YouTube ever to make sense? No. Is it my fault? Maybe. I can never tell. I can never tell if I fucked up or if it's just not working right. Alright, let me alert some people. Okay. I've sent my alerts. Now it's time to start singing. As soon as they fall asleep, I'll be out of here. I'll put on my shoes and I'll sneak to the window. Brush the bird shit off the ledge and shimmy, shimmy off, shimmy, shimmy. Sitting there looking down, I prepare myself, return to where I belong and better find myself. I hold my breath and close my eyes, shimmy, shimmy off, shimmy as I fall to the lonely world below. Fall down, fall in midair, floating there, I declare. So long to the second floor. It's been fun, but I don't belong up there with the industry, up there with you wolves. Now I'm down here with the lower class, down here with the idiots, yeah. I feel better now. I said I feel better now. So long to the second floor. As soon as I get back home, I find the door was locked. Pretend I'm a G.I. Joe and sneak around the house. I hear the dogs, they're all freaking out. I shimmy, shimmy in, shimmy as I fall to the lonely world below. Fall down in midair, floating there, I declare. So long to the second floor. It's been fun, but I don't belong, yeah. Up there with the industry. Wait, why is my connection not good? Apparently I had unplugged my Ethernet. I bet that had something to do with it. Just doing all kinds. I haven't streamed in a week or something. You lost me mid-lyric. You'll probably end up in heaven, and I'll be burning in hell. Kristen Dofer said, tell Sean to unblock me on YouTube. Like, why did you get blocked? Like, I'm not gonna tell him to unblock you if you deserved it. Anyway, shout out Haruko Ji-san, shout out Kristen Dofer. Or maybe not shout out you, I don't know. I don't know what you did to get blocked. Okay. I'm probably gonna do some gaming on this stream. And chat with whoever shows up. Which might take a minute. Hello, True Denacori, because I did not announce it in any way. I never do. Sometimes I'm just like, you know what? It's live time. I need to chat. Gratian says, happy birthday, thank you. It was my birthday about 4 days ago. I was gifted a whole lot of new video games. Well, not all of them are like new, but games I did not own, which was very cool. Massive thank you to everybody who bought me something off of my Steam wish list. You know, I'm a very stingy person, so it's hard for me to bring myself to buy things, especially because I already own things. And so I'm always like, well, I already have things. I don't need new things. But when somebody else gets me something new, then it's pretty exciting. Zinc Tracer said, new slime doll soon? I don't know. That really falls on Krona. I think she often forgets about YouTube. I think she forgets that it's a thing that she has been doing. She just was on a massive Dragon Quest kick. So, you know, we've talked about it on Slime Dolls, but she kind of tends to bounce between obsessions, particularly with game franchises. So, you know, we had been playing... She had been on a big Zelda kick, and that led us to play Twilight Princess. But it took so long for us to get through Twilight Princess that, like, halfway through that, she got onto a Sonic kick, and then it was kind of like she didn't really want to play Twilight Princess anymore because she was just thinking about Sonic. And so we started playing Sonic, but that was so deep into her Sonic kick that by the time we finished Sonic Adventure, she had gotten on to Dragon Quest again. And it really does tend to be a cycle between, like, different franchises that she's into. So I know she beat Dragon Quest 7 and 8 in the last month or so, and started playing 9, which is like the MMO, I think. If I'm getting the numbers wrong, my bad. But she was playing the Nintendo DS one. And is it bourgeoisie to be a woman? That is a great question, actually. That depends on what your definition of a woman is. That sounds a lot like how I end up playing games, and I'm the same way as your friend. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people do it that way. I am way more 10 is the MMO. Okay, I think she's been playing the MMO, because I know she created a custom character that looks exactly like her. But yeah, so she's been on a big Dragon Quest kick, and then I think she's now... like, reading comics. Like, she's been reading, what is it, Immortal Hulk? She's reading a Hulk comic. That was the latest thing she was talking about. And Krona also has much more of a tendency to just, like, hang out in Discord calls. You know, I don't tend to really do that. I have a hard time, I have a hard time hanging out with people, when it's just a few people. I have an easier time doing a live stream talking to like 20 people than I do being in a call with a few other people. And it's not even so much about like wanting to be the center of attention as much as it is wanting to like specifically talk about what's on my mind, and having a hard time with like, if I can't really contribute anything to the conversation, I don't want to be in it. I'd rather leave the room and sort of come back on my own time. Which this goes back to before I was an internet personality. Like it would be I'd hang out. Like my brother Victor, his room used to be the hangout room where all of my friends would kind of come over and they'd all hang out in Vic's room. And I would very much just like leave and come back over the course of the day. As my energy wanes or the conversation moves on to something I don't care about, I just leave, and then I come back later. But, with a Discord call, there's a kind of an awkwardness of like, I don't know what they're saying in there. I don't want to just jump in and then, kind of end up in something. So, yeah, I tend to not, I don't interact with people as much except for in live stream type contexts. Or if they're, if they're actually around me in real life. What was that? I got a notification on my phone. Oh. It was about something I've been waiting for to happen, actually. Which is, so I don't remember if I told this story anywhere publicly, but I got hacked a couple weeks ago. And it was my fault, I think. I mean, I guess it probably always is, right? So on my laptop, I was downloading video games, and some friends of mine were like, oh yeah, I got my hands on a PS4 emulator and I've been playing Bloodborne and I've been modifying it and making it work, and I was like, I want to play some PS4 games on my computer. And they were like, here's the website, because I couldn't find none of the websites that I normally use to download video games had PS4 games. So I'm like, where are you finding these PS4 games? They're like, use this link. And I go to the site, and the site looks sketchy, but I was just like, well, if they got the games to work from here, then it must be fine. And so I made the mistake of downloading Dark Souls Remastered, which I only did because I had tried to download Dark Souls PS3 and something had gone wrong on the site I actually trust, where like the site went down or something. So I start trying to download Remastered, and the zip file won't open correctly, and I'm sure I just like downloaded a virus or a hack or whatever and put it on my computer. And so the next day, I wake up to a bunch of texts about how my Discord's been hacked. And so I go into Discord, and someone has basically muted or either muted or unfriended like a bunch of my contacts, and sent like some like photos of a crypto scam, like a Mr. Beast themed crypto scam. These sites always look sketchy even if they're fine. Well, like, the sites I mostly use don't look sketchy. Like, there's a couple of sites I use to download old games, that look good and clean, and there's community around them, and they're perfectly fine websites that don't feel even sketchy at all. This site looked obviously sketchy, but again, I was told, oh, I got some games here. So I'm like, okay. Which maybe the site has games and also has viruses, like that's a real good way to honeypot people, to have real downloads mixed in with the bad stuff. But anyway, so my Discord gets hacked. I have to reset my information and stuff, but I got it back, and it didn't seem to be a big deal. Like I changed a bunch of passwords. Oh, and they had made Amazon purchases. I was like, I remember there being money involved in this. Yes, they had also gotten into, it was actually Bird's Amazon account was logged in on my computer, but it was like the last card used was mine. So they had bought they had 3 times purchased a 10-pack order of gifts of NordVPN. And so I had to call up my bank get all the NordVPN orders, reversed, got my money back. We changed the Amazon passwords and so on and so forth. So I was like, okay, well, the computer keeps telling me there's no viruses on it. It seems like we got through it. Everything seems fine. And then like a whole week later, Bird wakes up in a absolute fury because the assumably same hacker got into both of our Steam accounts, because I was logged into both of our Steam accounts on my computer. And they made like $250 worth of purchases of Steam games, once again gifting them to friends. And like in my Steam, they had like deleted all my friends and then added their own friends in order to give them games, which I don't know why they would add them as friends. You don't need to do that. One of these accounts that it had added as a friend was entirely Griffith from Berserk themed. Also, they were all Chinese. And I was like, Griffith don't just go around being Griffith themed if you're not like evil. So they'd spent a bunch of money on our Steam accounts. We had to have that, called the banks, got the stuff canceled, filed the, reports on Steam. I completely reformatted my laptop, just saved the files and then, just deleted, reinstalled Windows basically. And so since then, there hasn't been any issues, which was like almost 2 weeks ago, I think. But, yeah, so we had all of our passwords changed everywhere, basically. And the notification I just got was, so when I called the bank, I told them what happened, and they immediately put the amount of money that had been spent back into my account. But I also filed a thing with Steam where they refunded me the money. And so for like almost a week now, I've had both in my bank. And I was like, when are they going to one of them's going to undo this? At some point the bank's going to take the extra money they gave me back. And that was what the notification I just got was the bank saying like, oh, $263 are just removed from your account. And I was like, that makes sense. But also, why did it take so fucking long? Because, there's a weird feeling that comes with having a bunch of money is not yours and that you should not be that you should not spend in your account. Because I do believe it would be fraud to have spent it. But yeah, dope. So now that saga is officially over. Wild fucking times. All right, let me read up on chat. On the is it bourgeoisie to be a woman? It's one of my favorite questions, said Internet Weirdo 8131. The more detailed question: does it make one bourgeoisie to adhere to bourgeoisie standards of beauty, or is that just survival? When does it cross the line? I absolutely think it's bougie to try to adhere to bougie standards of beauty. Does it make you a class traitor to buy Gucci, Chanel, Hermes? Yes, absolutely. I look at everyone a little bit funny when they are, keeping up to a certain level of appearances. And I know that it's possible to do it relatively cheaply. Like, you can have an aesthetic and it doesn't have to be expensive. But if I know it's expensive, I'm always kind of looking at it like, do you need to be doing all that? Like, I don't know. I'm very judgmental of how people spend their money, which is not fair. I know it's not fair, but I can't help myself. I do get very judgmental, just because I'm always thinking about, like, particularly when people complain about not having a lot of money, but then I see how they're spending it, and I'm like, this is reversible, like, I live off of very little money myself, and I'm doing it on purpose. It's like I could go find a job that pays better, but then you have the trade-off of, not doing what you want to do. But, like, if you feel you need a certain amount of money to do things, then, like, you gotta go do that, But it bothers me when people are both like, well, I need to have enough money to do all this stuff, but I'm also whining about the fact that I have to work to do that. And I'm like, yeah, but you don't have to work that hard, like, you're doing that part on purpose. Hearing this makes me a lot less scared of getting viruses, actually. Like, this sounds like a tremendous pain in the ass, but you still got your shit back eventually. Yeah, actually got it back really quick. Because it really was just like, Ducky953, I explained how I got hacked a little earlier. You just got to go back into the video later. But basically downloading games off of websites that I did not trust. But, yeah, like, it was not difficult to work with the bank to get the money back because I was quick about it. I was like, hey, I just got these charges. And, also my bank is Navy Federal, which is a good bank. I don't know if this would be as easy if you have like a shitty bank. Will I be back on Whams this week? Yes. I was off the show because of a combination of misunderstanding and, well, I'll get into it. I'll get into it on different podcasts, not on this one. But Whams had a near-death experience as a show, we'll say, as a result of something that my co-host said on another newer show I've got. So that's why neither me nor my co-host, who was supposed to be a guest on Whams this week, were on Whams. But ultimately, Whams was saved from the brink of destruction, and it will be back in its original form. Although we are probably moving it permanently to Monday nights. So, Haruko said, the producer was missed this past week. Good episode, but the 3-person dynamic really carries. Yeah, Bird told me, like, it was fine, but it's not as fun without me. And I like the show. I like doing it, so I would prefer to be on it. But I was a little curious how it would go without me, training wheels off kind of thing. Because I wasn't mic'd for the first episode, but I was in the room and, like, kind of shouting at them things that they needed to do to move the show forward. So I'm happy to see that they were able to carry a 3-hour episode without needing the producer there. But, yeah, I think we can all agree that it's more fun with 3. And downloading games from websites you did not trust. SMH, Trixie, this could have been avoided. Yeah, this is why you don't listen to your friends. Wanted to hear you talk about moving pictures. So I'll just give you my take right now. It's pretty much the same as what Birds is, which is that the first 4 songs are incredible, and the last 3 songs are completely forgettable, take it or leave it. I'll say I really like the hook on Vital Signs, or the chorus rather. Bird and Shade really feed off your energy, especially during the beer segments. Yeah, that's why that's why the beer segment is the one that I, from the beginning, have been like, I have to be on the beer segment because I can talk about beer all day with a different level of excitement, But yeah, I think my takes wouldn't have been that different from the, because I did not read Gantz. I did watch the first 3 episodes of Sayonara Lara, which the first episode was a 10 out of 10, incredible opening to a show. Like, I watched that when it came out. I was blown away. I ended up watching the episode again with Bird. Still really enjoyed it. I think the music's incredible. The imagery's incredible. The way that it takes the Little Mermaid story and does, like, every single trope associated with it all in one episode. And then it leaves you at the end with, like, okay, now we can take this wherever we want. And where it takes it in episodes 2 and 3 is almost not even slightly interesting. He goes from an incredible 10 out of 10 first episode to like the blandest, most awkwardly written, awkwardly paced, just like nothing burger of an episodes 2 and 3. And then at like the very end of episode 3, it hints at maybe something interesting might happen again. But internet weirdo, not Bird. But yeah, Shade does not want to do a show with a groiper. He is very worried about the association, with which I can't really blame him necessarily. You know, even Sean was like, look, man, I get it, you know, but yeah, I knew this about Sean. Shade didn't. So he was pretty taken aback by that revelation. But yeah, so the Sayonara Lara show, I probably would have given it like, 10 out of 10 first episode, like strong 5 to a light 6 for the second and third episode. And then similarly with Rush, the first 4 songs on Moving Pictures are like legit god tier. Like track 1, Tom Sawyer, one of the all-time classic prog singles, just like an undeniable classic. Fucking Red Barchetta is one that like I've more and more fallen in love with over time, just because I think the storytelling in it is really good. I love the way it sounds, love the lyrics. I'm sure Bird told his whole story about his uncle, which has only even more so made me, like emotional about it. And then track 3 is YYZ, which is another all-time classic prog single. I don't love that one as much as the 3 songs surrounding it, but I do think it is a classic. And then Limelight is like one of my favorite singles, like rock singles of all time. Like the lyrics are perfect. It's basically the whole plot of Evangelion or Ghost in the Shell or Serial Experiments Lane. Like it's about perception and how like we're all kind of performing. I just realized that my mic phantom power is not on. Did I just change how I sound considerably? I just pressed a button that should amplify what I sound like considerably. I heard people didn't like the first episode because it was too similar to Disney's The Little Mermaid. I mean, the point of the first episode of Lara is that it's all of the Little Mermaid takes. Like it's every version of Little Mermaid in one. It's heavy with Ponyo references, which is also a Little Mermaid adaptation. It's heavy with the Disney movie. It's heavy with the original story. She actually turns into sea foam from a broken heart. But then it just takes it and moves it to a new place where it's like, what if the Little Mermaid got reverse isekai'd into modern Japan and had to undergo a whole new adventure, which is a great idea, executed really well. But then the second you get to episode 2, it's just like, oh, well, this is not as good as I hoped it would be. But anyway, yeah, Limelight, great fucking song. And then I think the camera eye is mostly boring and kind of unnecessary. Witch Hunts is not that interesting. And Vital Signs, I only really like the chorus. So it is another case, much like Sayonara Lara, of absolute 10. I think I would give the first 4 songs on Moving Pictures like a 200 out of 10. It's a side A album. This is from the era of records where you had a side A and a side B. You don't ever have to flip over Moving Pictures. Just leave it on side A. You don't need the second half. They're fine. They're not terrible songs. I'd give the second half like a strong 6 to a light 7. But anyway, horror movie Get Out type moment where you learn a groiper is living in your home. That is pretty much like Shade's reaction to that. I still really like the follow-up episodes, but I think the recent episode 6 was another step down. Oof. That's not what I like to hear. I don't think Sean seems like an actual groiper in the white supremacist sense. So that's what we're going to have to interrogate through the show, Like part of the point of the biggerest problem in the universe is that Sean has these kind of weird nationalist right-wing views, and I have like really extreme leftist views, and we're going to scream at each other about it. That's the entertainment value of the show, which was kind of the point of the last biggest problem, that it was, Vito was supposed to be a liberal, Dick was supposed to be the conservative, and they're supposed to be butting heads. The problem is that Vito is the worst liberal in the world. Like, he doesn't actually he doesn't live by any of the ideology that he supposedly espouses. So, our show will be, which maybe Sean's the worst conservative in the world. Maybe he's really bad at, he already is failing the Groyper ideology pretty badly. So I'm wondering if I can convince him, maybe you don't want to use this label. Maybe you don't really stand for what this label is associated with, because you don't seem to anybody like you actually, fit this bill. Oh boy, if you had to pick best or favorite Mars Volta song. I mean, Cassandra Gemini is like the one. It's 32 minutes long. It's got so much in it, so many phases. Pretty much everything that's good about the Mars Volta is in that one track, So Cassandra Gemini might have to be both the best and the favorite. But besides that, Tetragrammaton, which is the 16-minute song off of Amputecture, is like the most maximalized fucking, like, just constant shit happening, So those would probably be my top two. And all the stuff on the first three albums in particular, I think is almost always really good. So those two just kind of stand out a little bit above all the other stuff. But their fourth album is also good. But you should bring in people who aren't upfront about their extremist political beliefs as a problem. That would be funny. I already know what my problems are going to be this week. I've got them in mind. So, I have no idea what Sean's going to bring in. And I'm pretty sure I'm crushing him in the voting for last week. So, I think I'm going to be the winner. If you didn't vote, by the way, go vote. Go vote on the polls. Time to listen to those two things. Just warning you, that will be like 50 minutes just between those two songs. I would probably say do Tetragrammaton first. They both have such intense starts too. They're both songs that just like rip the fuck open and then go and go and go. And you're like, oh my god, this is still happening. I have to piss. I'll be right back. Yo. Hello, Isabel. Oh, this is turning into a fun chat we're all having here. Check out this bar I came up with. I'm hunting for some head. Call me Herbie. Herbie. I don't think I get that reference. I don't know who Herbie is in this case. Gomen. I have failed the bar exam. Bern Castell says great songs. Something about an Umineko fan being into the Mars Volta just feels right. I think the experience of Herbie Hancock Headhunters classic jazz funk album. Yeah, I'll have to listen to that because I don't think I've ever heard that. I haven't heard a lot of old music. It's funny, I put out a couple of videos recently on the Nova Loves Music channel where I'm talking about my top 5 favorite American rock bands and my top 5 favorite UK rock bands. And like through putting those lists together, I came to realize that like a vast majority of the rock music that I listen to is like American music from the 90s onwards. Like I grew up with so much rock radio that I know almost any rock band from, 1990 to 2010 or so. Like that 20-year period, I could probably tell you every rock band. But anything before that, I may or may not have any clue about whatsoever. And I'm thinking I'm going to do Japanese bands next. A few people said, I suggested it in the last video, and a few people were like, you got to do that. So I will probably do that. Which, will be an interesting one because I don't know a lot of Japanese rock bands that haven't done anime music at some point. But I know a lot of Japanese rock bands that have done anime music at some point. Have I ever tried getting into King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard? Yes. My brother Victor is a really big fan of them. I know him and Hope have seen them live at least once or twice. My favorite album of theirs, they put out music so often I can never tell if how much I've missed. But I don't like keep up with them like that. But I was really a big fan of Murder of the Universe. That has been probably my favorite King Gizzard. Let me look at their discography real quick. Let's see how many albums I've missed. But if I end up doing Australian bands, they will probably be in my top 5 Australian rock bands. Let's see. I have not heard Alien Metal. I haven't heard Phantom Island. I think I heard Flight B741. Yeah, that one was good. I actually really liked that one. Silver Cord I didn't really care for. Petrodragonic Apocalypse I liked. Changes. I don't remember really listening to Changes. I don't remember Laminated Denim. I don't remember Ice, Death, Planets, Lungs, Mushrooms, and Lava. I feel like I've seen this album cover, but I don't remember hearing that album at all. I know I heard Omnium Gatherum, and that one had like a really fantastic opening song that's like 18 minutes long, and I don't remember much after that. I know I liked some of it. I don't remember Made in Timeland. I think I remember thinking Butterfly 3000 was okay. This is just going back 5 years so far, by the way. That's all I've done is the last 5 years of their albums. Don't remember LW. Don't remember KG. Infest the Rats' Nest was good. Didn't care for Fishing for Fishies. Didn't care much for Gumboat Soup. Polygon Wonderland has my favorite song by them, which is Crumbling Castle. And I like the title track, and the rest of it I don't remember doing much for me. But yeah, Murder of the Universe still probably my favorite. Flying Microtonal Banana has some okay stuff on it. Nonagon Infinity, of course, the one that kind of broke them big, is very solid. And all the other ones, I don't think I've heard that much. So, because it is so much better live than on record, I would believe it. I'd believe it. When are you logging the Zero Ranger playtime? I haven't played Zero Ranger. That is not one of the games that was purchased for me from my wish list, but I have been playing the fuck out of Blue Revolver. As you can see, I have 32.5 hours, and I still haven't beat hyper difficulty yet. I went and got the normal clear yesterday just for the hell of it. So I've got like a shitload of demos I downloaded, And then in terms of what I got for my birthday that people gifted me, I got Mystia's Izakaya, CBT with Yuka Kazumi, Witchbot Meglilo, Broken Reality 2000, which I actually forgot that somebody bought me this. The new Cotton game, which Cotton is like exactly as old as I am, I think, based on this being a 35th anniversary game. Pocky and Rocky Reshrined, Ref Rain, which is a shmup, Toho Luna Nights. I also didn't process that this had been purchased for me also. I gotta actually download that. Batsugun, which I have been playing, and Redneg All-Stars Swing By Edition, which apparently I have 70 minutes, which was literally just me beating both campaigns on normal mode on my first try, because that game is easy. At least on normal mode. I'm sure it gets really crazy on the highest difficulties. But yeah, I probably will like Zero Ranger. I've heard nothing but good things about that game. Like, I have only ever heard positivity about Zero Ranger. You heard good things about Broken Reality 2000? It looks sick. Like, just aesthetically, you know, it's a vaporwave aesthetic world to explore. Kind of Dreamcasty. Like, to me, this looks like Sonic Adventure, but even like prettier. You know, like the combat looks like, I don't know, Kingsfield or something. Which, like, I've been saying for years and years, like, this is the aesthetic I want a From Software game in. Like, my dream is make Dark Souls, but it looks like this. And I don't know what this will actually feel like, you know, play-wise, but it has the aesthetic of my dreams. So I'm really hoping it'll be dope as fuck. But yeah, I was thinking if my plan is to do some gaming on this stream, and mostly I'm just going to keep running Stage 5 of Blue Revolver over and over again for hours, trying to master it. Because I want to finish it. I want to be done with it, because I've got all these other games to play. And some of these other games are also going to take me 30 fucking hours of practice to get through. And I've been playing Blue Revolver for more than a month and a half at this point. So, like, I'm ready to have beaten it, you know. It's not like I played it every single day. I don't tend to game for, like, long hours, you know. Like, at most, I might play a game for, like, 3 hours at a time. So, you know, it's not like I've been as committed as some gamers. There's this one game that came out recently. Oh, God, I can't remember what the fuck it was called. It was like a sequel to a 30-year-old shmup that, like, the IP hadn't been used in forever, and they revived it. Like, this company that's been doing, like, revivals of these old shmup games, they made this new version of this old-ass game, and I had played the demo of it, not knowing what it was initially, and just kind of didn't think it was good. I was like, this kind of sucks, you know, like, and I just kind of put it down. But then when it was actually releasing, I saw, like, the shmup Discord was really, like, blowing up about it, because, like, oh, it's the revival of this old game, you know, we got to find out if it's any good. And so this one shmup YouTuber I follow makes a video about it. That's like a review, like, the day after the game came out. And I think he had, like, a pre-release copy of it or something. But he starts the review going like, yeah, I've had this game for about 3 days, and I've put about 35 hours into it. And I was just like, Jesus Christ. Like, what? How? 35 hours in 3 days? This was all you were doing. Like, what are you talking about? Which, I don't know. Maybe he gets paid to review games, so he was just viewing it as a job. But I was like, you put more hours into this in 3 days than I've put into Blue Revolver playing it all month. But that's the level of dedication it takes to really, truly get good. I'm working on it, you know. But of these 30 hours I have in Blue Revolver, like, I want to say I got to Stage 5 at, like, 18 hours in. and I started consistently getting to stage 5 at like 20 hours in. But I was like, I need to start just practicing, go to stage select and just do stage 5 and just grind it until I've mastered it, because it sucks getting to the end of a run where you've already pretty much got the first 4 levels down, and then the final level just kills you and you like don't really know what to expect, So I was like, all right, it's time for me to finally stop playing the early levels and just grind stage 5. And I've probably put 12 hours into just grinding stage 5. Every once in a while breaking off to do a full run. Like I said, I went and cleared normal difficulty, which is basically easy difficulty in this game. But it's so hard. The final boss is really hard. And it's not even that it's like, it's less so difficult as in any one moment is just so difficult, as that you can only make a couple mistakes, So like if you fuck up anywhere along the line, you are significantly at risk of losing your run. And so, you just got to play really, really well to make it through, and really consistently. Have I ever done a video or post where I explain my writing process? It'd be interesting to see such a thing. So honestly, process is a strong word for my writing. I really just write. I just go for it. And it's been a while since I've really been doing scripted videos. Like, I've actually written some videos recently where even when I'm doing them, like, I will add a lot in or like rephrase things a lot, just because it's more... I like the way it feels more to have things be a little looser. And what I've come to find, because, I used to mostly write all my scripts, but I've watched people watch my scripts, and I've read the reactions people have to my scripts, and I find that because my writing is so dense, people often miss things. Like, they hear parts of it, and some things stand out to them, but particularly because the videos kind of make you think, if you start thinking while I'm talking, you can't give your full attention to what I'm saying. And so I try to loosen it up a little bit so that there's more space for you to think about what I'm saying without missing the next thing that I say. And, I've gotten a lot more practiced at doing unscripted talking through doing lots of live streams, doing, lots of podcasts and stuff like that. And so I've been trying to get my practice in and try to have that more free-flowing feel to my videos. And sometimes I don't know if people can tell the difference. I don't think it's obvious that all of my videos have been unscripted for a while, but including the ones where it's not just me talking into a camera, the ones where there's like footage on screen and shit like that. That's exactly the issue we have with our scripts. I've also been trying to add breaks. Yeah, and it really just comes down to like, okay, let me show you one, because I've got one in mind right now that I'm probably going to redo again, right? So this is a script called These Games Will Make You Better at Bullet Hell. And it's about the games made by this indie developer called Outside, which include, I was talking just earlier about the Redneg. Where is that? Oh, right. I wouldn't have it downloaded on this computer, would I? Did I add it to my favorites? Wait, I saw it. There it is. So this developer called Outside, they made Redneg, Like Dreamer, and Cosmo Dreamer. I've had Like Dreamer and Cosmo Dreamer on my Switch for years now, and I've put a lot of hours into those. And then somebody finally bought me this game for my birthday. And what's great about Outside's games is that they are extremely beginner friendly. Like, they have very low difficulty modes, they have tutorials, and like, they play very similarly to Toho games, but Toho games, which are considered to be like fairly beginner friendly shmups because they have lower difficulty levels, but Toho games don't get nearly as easy as Outside's games do. Like, these are true beginner like shmups, but they also escalate where, like, as you get further and further into the difficulty settings, you can get to a point where you make the games like impossibly fucking hard. if you really want them to. They're accommodating to all difficulty levels. So I wrote a script about the outside games before I really found the shmup community. And so my initial script kind of makes some assumptions about the shmup community and what they're like based on what I had experienced in the past, which was a lot of, like, you didn't even play it on the highest difficulty. You know, you couldn't even get a 1cc. Like, you know, it used to feel like you could not even talk about shmups if you were not amazing at shmups. And what I have come to learn is that there has been an active attempt to push back against that from like a newer developing shmup community, largely around the channel The Electric Underground. Because Electric Underground is like, I've been marathoning this dude's videos for weeks now. But this dude is like a true arcade purist who like wants games to be incredibly hard, you know, wants them to be these real like feats of skill, and is a huge shmup player. And he's got by far more videos about shmup history, about shmup developers, about what are the good shmups. Hey, look, a best guy ever conversation. He's got a lot of videos about shmups. And so if you start researching shmups on YouTube, you will find this guy, like inevitably. And through him, you will also find out about Shmup Slam, a yearly event that he does where they play shmups. And a couple of other YouTubers that I had been following joined this one, like were in it. And so it, you know, I ended up watching this because of them and then finding out about him and then finding my way into a shmup Discord. And generally the energy around this community is like, yes, we want the games to be really hard. Yes, we want people to put that effort and dedication into it. But we also have to appreciate that there is an onboarding process. You can't just start off great at these games. Like, everybody who gets into them has a period of thinking, there's no way I'll ever be able to do this. And then you just keep trying, and then eventually you get there, you know? And so, like, I wanted to get into shmups, but I did have that feeling of like, I am so far below the level of being good at these. And so I wrote this script about these games that are helping me to get better before I found out that there is a community around, you know, like, it's like you'll see in the script here, you get into one of these games, you find out that most of the community doesn't even want to admit they've played a game until they beat it on the highest difficulty without using any continues. That's not true anymore. This is me talking about my experience talking to shmup fans 10, 20 years ago. But if I'm talking about the shmup community I'm now in, this is not true anymore. They very much encourage you, post your fails, post your early stuff. Let us give you advice. Let us coach you through, you know? So I've got, you know, these Blue Revolver videos over on my, every time I Google YouTube, it sends me to the search for Cyrano fan games, which is really funny. So, you know, I've got this channel for shmups, and I started posting my Blue Revolver practice on there as soon as I started playing the game. This is like one of my first runs, you know, dying at level 2 out of 5. And the first comment I get is from Tori Burb, who is the world record holder with every character and every weapon in Blue Revolver. And so I can go and watch Burb's playthroughs, which he highly encouraged me to do. You know, like, hey, you should probably watch me play so you can figure out, you know, what you should be doing in order to get through this game and get the highest score. So here's the final boss that I'm fucking stuck on. This pattern's not that bad. I know how to get through that one. This pattern is not that bad either. Pattern 3, this one's a pain in the ass if I don't, like, just kill him out of it immediately because of those fast-moving guys there. It looks like he's kind of hanging out on the side of the screen because the beams get a little bit wider over there, but also just has a level of dodging skill that is beyond what I've got. The precision is incredible. I don't think I could dodge this well yet. This pattern's a pain in the ass, but I've gotten a lot better at it. The final pattern is the true test. The final pattern is fucked. This one. It starts off simple, but it just keeps adding in more bullshit until it becomes an absolute clusterfuck. And I had multiple runs on normal difficulty where I got to like 2 shots left with this pattern and then died at the last second. And this is not normal difficulty that he's playing on right here. But hey, look, there's the clear, right? So the fact that like the second I got into this community, I've got like the world record holder like literally giving me personal advice on how to beat this game. It's like, okay, this is not at all what I was expecting from the shmup community. So I still want to make this video that I wrote this script for, but obviously I'm not going to say this, you know. So I did a recording of this where I just kind of retweak some of the stuff I'm saying. Like I don't follow the script exactly. I add in or subtract here and there. And even now, like, you know, I recorded it a couple weeks ago, but back then I hadn't played Redneck yet. And now I'm like, well, I want to add in some notes about that. So probably I will just completely scrap this script and just record an off-the-cuff version. Like, having the script there was good for, you know, getting a sense of what all am I trying to say here. But, you know, now that I know about it, not really necessary. So yeah, I guess my advice would be if you do write a script for videos, you don't got to stick to it. You know, don't commit to how it already is. Toy around with it. You know, you could read it a few times to know what you're saying and then kind of just wing it, or like read a paragraph and then perform that paragraph however feels more natural, because I do think sometimes stuff that feels natural to write and read does not feel natural to say. $5 super chat from Butthole Weeb. It's okay to suck at games. I've been stuck on the same boss as Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows for a week, and my gamer brother had to text me a tutorial. Yeah, no, it's fine to suck at games, obviously. I've sucked at games my whole life, but there is so much to gain out of mastering a game that I want to do it, you know? And especially like I used to have the mentality that like I just am not good and therefore will not ever be good, you know, unless I were to put a lot of effort into it. And I really thought that games like this were all about just like memorization and like twitch reflexes, like how well can you perform the exact moves. And while those things do matter, like in Blue Revolver, it's way more knowledge-driven than you would think, because there's interlocking systems that, like, basically in this game, when you die, you gain back bombs and ammo for your sub-weapon. And when you use your sub-weapon correctly, which I'm not going to explain exactly how that works, I'll do it in a video later. But like when you use your sub-weapon correctly, then you gain more points. And every time you hit a certain point total, you gain another life. And so if you're trying to maximize score, a big part of it is like if you're good enough at the game that you don't have to worry about dying on accident, you do a lot of dying on purpose. And like if you were to watch that full Burb playthrough that I was showing a minute ago, he dies way more on purpose than I have ever died on accident playing this game, because his point totals get so fucking high that he's constantly gaining lives and then spending those lives to gain bombs, spending the bombs to gain ammo, spending the ammo to gain points, the points gain him lives. And so he just keeps ratcheting up his point total by following that cycle. But to make that work, you really got to know where is the best place to use my ammo to gain points? Where is the best place to use my bombs to gain ammo? Where is the best place to die? And also, when you gain points, your rank goes up, which just makes the game harder. Like enemies spit out more bullets faster. But when you die, your rank goes down, so everything gets easier. And so timing your deaths right will keep the game, allowing you to play it more easily. So, like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's just like, the more you understand where to do what, the easier the game becomes, and then also the farther you can push the skill ceiling. So, yeah, like, none of that's going to be apparent to you when you just pick up and play it for the first time. Like, the first 10 times you die in the game, you are not going to realize that there's all this extra depth. But then at some point you start noticing the chaining system, and you're like, wait, how does this work? And like, certain enemies drop way more points than other enemies, and some enemies, if you're at the end of a chain, drop like a shitload of points, and every time I gain a certain number of points I get a life. So then you start really thinking about it, and that's when the game opens up and becomes great. And so even if you suck at it, the learning process of getting better makes the game more interesting, and is also how you get further in. It took me like probably 10 to 20 tries before I got through the third boss, and now the third boss never stops me. Like, at some point you just know what to do, and you're not going to lose here. Yeah, sucking at something is the first step towards being kind of good at something is absolutely pretty much always true. That's why I always try to read the script out loud before recording. Oh, absolutely. That's a must. I always forget that not every, like, so much of doing this I take for granted that I wouldn't even think to explain it. But yeah, you have to read it back. Preferably multiple, like, pretty much I will read every sentence back after I write it, and then move on to the next sentence. So let's see. Let's just write a script. Somebody give me a topic to write a script about. Let's just do a script workshop right here and now on stream. Why the hell not? That sounds like a fun thing to do. I'm going to go to the bathroom. Everybody give me ideas for a script you think I could write in, a quick sitting. A Trixie 2028 presidency campaign. Write about a script about how good love life is and transitioning. No. Instead of playing arcade games, put the time into anime analysis. There's nothing to analyze. I already finished anime. I already did it. It's done. I analyzed all of it. I said all that needed to be said. Did Denzel Curry fall off? I don't think he fell off, but I do like some of his old stuff a little more. We need to bring back game manuals, flipping through those things. Honestly, I pretty much never read game manuals, though I did read strategy guides for certain games when I was younger. How about the state of Sword Art Online 2026 and the future of VR MMOs? I do think it's coming back, right? Like, it's got a new game. It's got, like, a new movie coming out. We're definitely in, like, an SAO revival. Like, it's becoming a nostalgia property. That might be a fun one. Let's try that. All right. Remember Sword Art Online. Remember internet debates about the quality of anime. Remember when you could open YouTube and, like clockwork, every week a new video about whether SAO was trash or anime reviewers are trash would be in your subscription, no, your home feed? Remember Sword Art Online? With 3 question marks. I know it's hard to accept that you've become old as fuck, but the reality is that SAO is a nostalgia property now. It's been 14 years since the original anime aired, meaning 12 years since season 2 cracked open the YouTube anime analysis space. Remember Sword Art Online? Remember internet debates about the quality of anime? Remember when you could open YouTube and like clockwork every week a new video about whether SAO was trash or anime reviewers are trash would be in your home feed? Remember Sword Art Online? I know it's hard to accept that you've become old as fuck, but the reality is that SAO is a nostalgia property now. It's been 14 years since the original anime aired, meaning 12 years since Season 2 cracked open the YouTube anime analysis space. Reki Kawahara has apologized at least thrice about how he writes women and villains. The series had a novel reboot, an anime reboot, a side series with multiple seasons, and a shitload of mediocre video game adaptations. It's hard to say when a franchise never really goes away, when it's entered its resurgence phase. But SAO has been hitting my SEO more often lately than it had been in a while. So I think it's at least at a high tide moment as compared to where it had been 5 years ago. Maybe it's just the long wait for more, what the fuck is that show called? Solo leveling anime that's giving SAO time to show its face again. Or maybe we're all just desperate for there to be a new lovable version of this thing we all once thought was great, then thought was shit, then felt bad about loving, hating, or even having expressed interest in before. Alright, let's see. I know it's hard to accept that you've become old as fuck, but the reality is that SAO is a nostalgia property now. It's been 14 years since the original anime aired, meaning 12 years since Season 2 cracked open the YouTube anime analysis space. Reki Kawahara has apologized at least thrice about how he writes about women and... well, no, I didn't want about. I wanted writes women and villains. Thank you, Google. Shut the fuck... Stop trying to... Feedback on suggestion. Suggestion is wrong. Reki Kawahara has apologized at least thrice about how he writes women and villains. The series had a novel... No, let's see, here it should be. Has had. The series has had a novel reboot, an anime reboot, a side series with multiple seasons, and a shitload of mediocre video game adaptations. It's hard to say, when a franchise never really goes away, when it's entered its resurgence phase, but SAO has been hitting my SEO more often lately than it had been in a while, so I think it's at least a high tide moment as compared to where it had been 5 years ago. Maybe it's just a long wait for more solo leveling anime that's given SAO time to show its face again, or maybe we're all just desperate for there to be a new, lovable version of this thing we all once thought was great, then thought was shit, then felt bad about loving, hating, or even having expressed interest in before. Alright, that's enough. I think you get it. That's how I write. You know, at some point, I would probably... like, open up Wikipedia and just see what's new, right? Like, see what's the newest stuff that's coming out. Like, okay, Full Dive was announced, an original story not based on the light novels, but it's actually Integral Domain, a follow-up to Alicization. Okay, so it's premiering in 2028. So, like... I'd probably start talking about that, maybe watch the trailer, giving a take on the trailer or something, you know, just like pepper in some information about where SAO is at right now, why I think it's in the cultural consciousness again, which I kind of hinted at with the solo leveling thing, right? So like I'd talk a little bit more about how solo leveling carried the influence from SAO, you know, had a lot of the same staff, and I think it kind of fulfilled the promise SAO was trying to make of, like, being the solo badass player in an MMO type situation, you know? Anyway, I have a $20 super chat from Into Ekenzone here that says, do you have extreme leftist views? I figured you're a progressive liberal who wants to see more safety nets and expanded protections for vulnerable minorities, but you don't seem interested in the abolition of private ownership. I actually have a video coming out in a few weeks called Are Ownership and Privacy Woke? And the subtitle being The Only Communist in the Commune. It's not on this channel, Beyond Trixie Takes a Square. Can I change? I think I can change what channel I'm on without... look at all these fucking channels! It's not even all of them. Without it affecting the stream. So... a little preview of some coming attractions here. Yeah, so my next videos on this channel will be When Sharing Becomes Unhealthy, which apparently I wrote with 2 E's. Got to fix that before it comes out. Get Out Before They Put You Out. And then Are Privacy and Ownership Woke? And this is me talking about how kind of shocked I am that even in, like, lefty spaces online, people are, like, anytime there's a threat to... like your ability to own video games, for instance, or a threat to like privacy in various sectors, I'm always like, are these leftist principles? And then I kind of go through that in this. But we've also got Communication is Cope, You Are Special, Someone Should Do Something About Him, Nihilism Isn't Hopelessness, Working More So You Can Think Less, The Parasocial Industry, and Ask for More Weight, and The Worst Magician in the World. Those are the videos I've got planned ahead for the next like 3 months on that channel. Way ahead of schedule. And I think there will be 2 more episodes of season 2 after that, before I'll have completed season 2. But yeah, I would say that, like, in terms of values, I am probably a pretty extreme leftist, but I also think that values are not what makes the world go round. And so, you know, it's always a question of, like, what do I believe versus what do I think you should do to keep yourself alive? And, there's the stage of argument, and then there is the ground floor of reality, and you have to keep both of these things in mind. IARC leftist private ownership mostly means of production, communal property like land, not personal property like a PS2 game collection. Yeah, see, like, I I don't like I don't really get personal property. Like, it seems weird to me as like a whole idea, but you know, you'll have to wait for the video to come out for me to really get into it. But Leftism doesn't have a problem with owning an iPhone, but it should, because the iPhone is made of conflict minerals. Like, this is propagating this industry is bad. This is a bad thing I've done. Some kid fucking died in a cobalt mine to get me this phone, probably. But yeah, I mean, like I said, there's ideals and there's survival. And I think at the end of the day, you got to do what you got to do to survive. And we're not the ones holding the levers of power, you know. If you can't take it with you into the afterlife, then it's not really yours. I don't believe in the afterlife, so nothing is yours. What version iPhone is that? I think this is a 15. Let me check the settings. That should tell me. Yeah, 15. Throw your phone in the river. That's where it belongs. But then you're polluting the river. There's radiation in that thing. They're reading everything. We'd have to come to accept things like coffee and chocolate as rarities and eat shit that's in season. Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of my, like, you know, like, part of the difficulty with like a lot of the online left is that there's also a lot of things you'd have to sacrifice that a lot of people are just not willing to sacrifice. And like, you know, I don't think I don't think being first, you know, the first one to do it usually does much. Like trying to lead by example, you have to be able, like, in the society we're in, where advertising wins, like, you're competing with something just so much bigger than you that, like, you can't really create that much of an impact. You have to, you know, you have to work from a ground level of, like, even just convincing the people in your immediate vicinity to make a slightly different choice about their life. And, like, that is already such a difficult thing because of, you know, the loud voice of consumerism speaking to them from on high. You're not a manipulator. You don't make all of your money, you know, controlling people psychologically. They do. So it's like, if you're not going to be at the same level as the advertising companies, how can you ever expect to out-influence them, you know? So I don't know. It's hard for me to advocate for, like, holding yourself accountable for leftist ideologies. It's like, it's not your fault. You're being brainwashed, you know, like. Butthole Weeb says, who the fuck is Denzel Curry? Maddox hates iPhones. Denzel Curry's a rapper. You don't listen to rap, so you wouldn't know. And yeah, Maddox hates iPhone because he's an idiot. iPhone's a perfectly fine device. I mean, granted, on the internet. Doesn't see. No, it says I'm still hooked in. I don't know why that happened. That was random. Landon, you're thinking of Steph Curry, I think. That is not Denzel Curry. Denzel Curry goes, this is the rap of Aquarius. I am the black metal terrorist. Ain't no comparison. Have I ever talked about Avatar: The Last Airbender? Not in a long time, but I did kind of pseudo watch the Avatar movie by which I mean Bird watched it, and I, like, pseudo watched it while playing video games next to him. And I was mostly watching it because people kept posting ripped Toph on Blue Sky. Like, everybody kept making fan art of Toph where she was just, like, absolutely fucking jacked. And I was like, I have to see jacked Toph. That sounds amazing, you know? And I was very let down by what she actually, like, she looks muscular, kind of. You only really see her arms. Like, people are drawing her with, like, 12-pack abs and, like, just fucking jacked, you know? And that's what I was expecting to see, and I did not get that at all. So I was pretty let down by the jackedness of Toph. Also, Toph's, like, whole personality in this movie is just that she's, like, horny as fuck for this old dude, who ends up being the villain, and at the end she's like, yeah, I guess he's not hot after all. But, like, most of her dialogue is just like, wow, that guy's hot. It was okay, you know. I thought it was a good idea for an Avatar story. It really ended up feeling just kind of like an extended episode. Kind of a bit of a filler movie type, you know, like it was like when an anime has the movie version that's just like little side story. Here's all the characters you love. This is, you know, very little consequences to the overarching plot. Does a little bit with the characters, and has some cool animation. But even then, like, some of the animation, like, I was like, I've seen these cuts. You know, like, I know that Avatar has always kind of just stolen its visuals from anime, but I was like, this is sort of The Stranger, you know, like, I've seen this. So I don't know, it was fine. It seemed like an okay movie, but nothing all that special. It's fan service, you know, it's an excuse to see the characters grown up, and in, like, doing more of what you would have wanted them to do than what, like, Korra gave you, you know? The impact of the plot is heavily dampened by the fact that Korra already exists, yeah. And even then, like, you know, it's, like I said, it's very, like, villain of the week kind of filler episode movie type shit. It's fine. They're making another whole fucking Avatar TV show with, like, I think the twin avatars or something like that, which Bird was like, are they twins? I fucking called it. I knew this would happen. Like, because him being a twin, he was, I think, already hoping for this to happen. But yeah, I don't know. I did not watch Korra. I only saw, like, the debut 2-parter or whatever, and I never went past that. I'm going to scroll up in chat for a second and see if I missed anything that I wanted to respond to. On the Japanese bands and the Pillows clears. Yeah, Pillows will definitely be in consideration on my list, although I've only ever really listened to their Fooly Cooly music. Probably should listen to more of their stuff, but the Fooly Cooly stuff is really fucking good. Isabel said, the main shmup I've played is Ikaruga, which I absolutely love. That's probably one of my top 10 games of all time. Ikaruga is, like, the biggest crossover hit from the shmup community. Like, it is, for whatever reason, Ikaruga is, like, vastly more popular than almost any other shmup. And it is really good. But it also gets talked about in a way where, like, a lot of reviews act like it is somehow different from every other shmup just because of the like, color swapping mechanic. Like, I think people think that makes the game more unique than it actually does. And so I've seen a lot of criticism of the way that game is talked about. Not of the game being less than good, you know, but, like, Electric Underground in particular brings it up a lot as one of those places where it's like reviewers are saying this game is different from other shmups, but the way that they're saying it reveals that they just don't understand other shmups. You know, like, this one probably looked more exciting to them because of the unique mechanic, but it doesn't mean that it's as different as they're saying it is. But you know, if you like that game in particular, check out the other Treasure shmups, because that game is made by Treasure, and they're one of those companies where pretty much nearly every damn game that Treasure has ever made is considered like an absolute classic in the hardcore gaming community. As for the question of whether I tend to do more stream of consciousness or and edit as I go versus having a plan when I write my scripts, pretty much always stream of consciousness. I usually have a vague semblance of a plan in my head of like, okay, here's the points I'm going to need to hit, but I usually come up with that plan pretty quick. And then I just go for it. But remember, my turnaround rate for videos is extremely high, you know? Like, I make videos really fucking fast. Because I've always been more concerned about, like, with enough speed, quality will follow. Like, quality can only come through repetition, and so doing it as many times as possible, as fast as possible, will help you get better a lot faster than trying to make one thing good, you know? Blah, 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 the leftism conversation. Why don't you got a gift option for YouTube? Other channels let me donate YouTube Jewels. YouTube Jewels? I thought that was a Twitch thing. The hell are YouTube Jewels? I don't even know about this. I'll have to look into it, I guess. Fishman's Essential. You know, I would have forgotten about them. They are really good. I don't think they would be in my list, but maybe in my honorable mentions. Massive Fermenting Dregs and Harun and Muri. Also bands that I would forget and maybe would be in my honorable mentions. Thanks for coming out, Mary Kiwi. YouTube Mango Jewel. Bands that will definitely be in my list: Maximum the Hormone, Ling Toshite Segure, Shinsei Kamate-chan. Like, those are my immediate. Ooh, Poly 6 is a good answer. I haven't listened to that much Poly 6, but the song Sun Electric is like one of the greatest songs ever made. Yellow Magic Orchestra I also haven't listened to that much of. Psy will be in my top 5 unquestionably. Yeah, my Japanese one's gonna be weird, actually. It's gonna be like nobody else would have this exact makeup of bands. And it will mostly be, of course, Galnerius would be up there. Fear and Loathing, yeah. Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Melt Banana, yes. Boris. Actually, Boris is... So it's funny because there's 2 different categories in my mind of Japanese bands, because there's Japanese bands that are popular in Japan and then Japanese bands that are popular mostly outside Japan. So like when I think of Melt Banana or Boris or Psy, those are like bands that have, you know, toured heavily outside Japan, that have like been on record labels outside Japan. And then, you know, you've got the Japanese bands that have like never stepped foot outside the country, but that I, you know, I've learned about through anime or whatever. But yeah, Boris is almost certainly gonna be the number 1 on that list. Boredoms. I don't know if I've ever really listened to Boredoms. Now I'm just thinking about Japanese rock music. I'll have to make that list soon. I've never listened to very much Lamp. Who that rock group that does music for Serial Experiments Lane? So, if you mean the opening theme, that's actually a British band called Boa. Then you got bands like Flow, which, like, Flow, I think I only know 2 songs by them. Are you ranking only rock bands? Yes. That is if you go to the Nova Loves Music channel, it started as Professor Sky's Record Review did his top 5 American rock bands. And so I did my top 5 American rock bands. And then he did his top 7 UK rock bands. And I went, all right, I'm going to copy that too. But in the process of doing that, I realized I don't listen to very much UK music. I listen to way more American and Japanese music than English music. And I was like, well, okay, I'm gonna have to do a few different lists. 17 Side. I don't remember the name of that dude. I assume you mean the song 17 Side, the XXX Holic opening. I wouldn't even call that a rock song, really, but okay. I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom again. Oh yeah, Midori. Destiny! They're pretty good. That would be another honorable mention band. I'll be right back. If there's anything else y'all want to chat about, let me know. Otherwise, I'm gonna start playing video games. Baby Metal is an honorable mention. Otoboke Beaver. I know they're really good. I've just never really gotten into them. I don't know My Dead Girlfriend, but I do know... shit, I almost said Dead Man Wonderland, but that's an anime. What's it called? World's End Girlfriend. That's the one. Okay. I think I'm going to start playing video games. Funny thing about doing live streams, I've come to realize the hardest part of live streaming is not having to talk the whole time. It's not being able to just listen to someone else talking at the same time. Because, like, there was a solid month where I had been helping Bird to stream, and he was streaming, like, all the time. And then he really fell off with streaming, mostly I think because when he plays video games, he's usually listening to YouTube videos the whole time. And so I think realizing that if he's going to be talking to stream, he can't listen to videos. It's just like not enough occupation of his ADHD. It's like there has to be more than one thing going on for him to feel focused. And, normally when I start playing video games, I also have something else going on at the same time. So that's, I think, a big part of why the two of us don't stream more often is just simply, but I want to listen to other people talk while I do whatever I'm doing. But nonetheless, Airy Rude Boy said, I really liked Dead Man Wonderland. Wish I knew how it ended. You just got to read the manga, right? I don't know. Did the manga get canceled or something? I don't know that much about it. Does Miku stuff count? If so, Meat Gazer rules and should be included. That's true, but it's not a band. That was like a compilation of a bunch of different shoegaze artists using Miku. I wanted to make a super chat about how the Trees Hate You demo is free and you don't have to worry about your system being compromised, but I started laughing too hard. Well, send the super chat anyways, but yeah, I'll check that out probably. I've got a shitload of demos downloaded, and my intent is to make videos about a bunch of them. Okay. Let's play some fucking Blue Revolver. I'm going to start grinding the final stage. You'll probably see me just instantly restart a bunch of times. Oh shit, this cord is caught on something. Hold up. Oh, too loud. This game has a phenomenal fucking soundtrack, but I don't need it to completely overpower everything. I'm gonna have to remap the controls because I'm on Bird's computer. Okay. Controller, yes. Behind. It's okay. Sit further back. His Bird's got like a very narrow desk, but a fucking massive monitor. It's like when he's gaming, he's like, because he's got such long arms, he's like way back here, you know? He needs a bigger desk. The up closeness is, it feels a little intimidating. Maybe it'll help. Maybe it'll be easier to see the bullets. And they're blown up all in my face. I think I need to reduce the game volume a little more. Alright. Let's get in here. See how it dropped like a shit ton of gold? You want to make that happen as much as possible. Feels so close to my face. Alright, first mid-boss. Nice. I got an extra life. So far, doing alright. I have many times restarted the stage because I lost a life before this point. Maybe being up close really is helping. It feels so jumbo. It's also like a much larger screen than I'm usually playing on. Ugh. Okay. This stage is like probably in total like 5 minutes long, but it feels so long. because it's so fucking intense, and like the rest of the game, none of the stages are like anywhere close to as long as this one. It's only 5 stages, but I would say like a fourth of the game is the 5th stage at least. Let's go. So it's going decently so far, but we haven't quite gotten to the parts where it really gets hard. Like, I've plenty of times, you know, lost lives before this. I'm shocked to see I have 4 whole lives right now, but we haven't quite gotten to the hard part. This part's pretty hard because it's difficult to clear all of the fuckers up. Nope. See, I was about to... I literally hit the bomb button as I was dying, or else I would have been fine there. This is where it really gets hard. This mid-boss is a fucking bastard. Because as you can see, there is shit coming from behind me. And there's all these little ads. And I have to shoot this fucking guy. I think he's... Okay, he's about to leave. I think it's actually just the final boss, like, coming to fuck with you before he comes back later. Or she, or... Technically, this... When you're playing with this character, you're in, like, a simulation, because this character would be the final boss, normally. The one I'm playing as, I mean. Okay, so I lost 2 lives to the mid-boss. Or 1 right before the mid-boss, and then 1 to the mid-boss. But having 2 lives left is not so bad. I still got 2 bombs. Nothing between here and the boss should be a huge problem, but I have plenty of times lost lives in this segment. That was the last mid-boss. Oh, damn it. See? Bad dodge. Does not bode well. If I hit 30,000 points, I'll gain another life, but there's a good chance that's not happening until well into the final boss fight, because you do gain points during that fight. But I would prefer to have had... So, okay, this means the final boss is about to appear. Get a little power up. And now I gotta fight the final boss. And this fight has 6 phases of increasing difficulty. So this phase is not so bad if you know what to do. And luckily, I died so late into the level that my rank is only level 2, which means that this is like a way easier fight than it could be. Like if it was level 4, there'd be so many more of those bullets. It would look a lot more difficult than what I'm doing. So I'm happy about the low rank for now. It does look like my rank goes up from beating each segment though, so it could become problematic if I'm not able to lower the rank through death at like an opportune moment. Alright, this next pattern is a real bitch, so I'm just gonna fucking try to get through it as quickly as possible. But now I have no ammo, so unless I die, I won't be able to... Well, I just died, so now I can use my special weapon again. This pattern is tricky as fuck. I would have gotten hurt there if I didn't still have invulnerability. Oh, and I died. That one, that pattern, like, once you get the rhythm of it down, is not so bad, but I was not getting the rhythm of it down just there, obviously. So let's try again. Now, I don't always do this whole stage. Sometimes I just start from the mid-boss because I think that's really where it gets hard, but let's do that. Let's start from Descent. This is where it really gets bad, so this is the part I really feel I still need to practice. It makes me nervous when I have to bomb during practice because I don't know how many bombs I'll actually have, you know, when doing a full run, but typically I've still got a few when I make it this far. And I also started it off at rank 4, which means it's like, you know, more hard than it might actually be when I get there, depending on when I've died. But I figure it's better to practice it on a slightly higher difficulty. Just in case. Don't want to practice on easy mode and be blindsided when it gets hard. Oh, well. Put myself in a tough spot there. Just jamming. All right. Two lives, 2 bombs, 100 ammo, level 3. Let's see what we can do. Like, it's funny, it might, like, be a better decision to lose a life on this first form before beating it, because if I get him up to level 4 by beating this form, then even if I died, it would only go down to level 3, whereas if I died, he'd go down to level 2, and then, okay, he didn't go all the way up to level 4, so that's good. But, you know, sometimes dying strategically will save you more in the future than keeping all your lives. Especially right now. He's about to hit level 4. So, like, if I die now, then he'll be about to hit level 3 again. So I'm gonna try just, yeah. That was like a semi-purposeful death. But now he's down to level 2, so this form will be easier. So like the big balls, like they lock in and then they you know, they can't follow you. They're trying to hit where you were when they locked in, and so you kind of want to stay put until they choose a direction and then dodge them when they get close to you, which is easier said than done when you're also worried about all the other bullshit going on around. But you know, I have one time beat the final boss when I started just from the final boss. Like, I've done a few runs where I just fought the boss and didn't try to do anything beforehand. But, like I said, I die enough on this segment that I feel like I need to get this down as well. There's just so much bullshit happening. Ugh. Fuck. The thing that makes this guy a pain in the ass is that after you hit him, he becomes invincible for a short period. Like, you see he's got a shield around him that time. I did not dodge. I was too busy talking and looking at what I was talking about. Shit. Don't fly directly in front of the thing that's about to come at you from behind. It's really like watching the big red bubbles in the back is like where I think most of the focus needs to be. But then if you get too focused on those and you don't notice the fucking extras shooting at you, and that becomes a problem. I'm actually surprised that I did this without dying the first 2 tries, but I was probably just bombing a lot through it. Also, bombing makes you temporarily invulnerable, which I should probably take advantage of more. Alright, he's gone. Shit. Alright, whatever. We do it. Oh. Didn't expect him to fire so far to the left like that. Okay, so with this dude, you want to take out his... I fucking died again. Whatever, we'll just play through. With this dude, you take out the side turrets, and you get extra points for that. Every, like, mid-boss and boss has what are called break moments, where it's like, if you kill them a certain way, you get more points. So I'm often trying to destroy certain enemies in like the right order to get that extra point bonus. And then sometimes I'm just like, fuck this guy, I don't want to fight it, and just bomb it right away. Yeah, I'm just gonna use all my strong attacks so you don't fuck with me anymore. I don't feel like dodging bullets for the next 10 seconds. Got an extra life for hitting 5,000. Basically on this difficulty level, you get an extra life at 5 million points, an extra life at 15 million points, and then an extra life every 15 million points after that. So typically playing this level, I would already be at like 40 something million by the time I start the level. And chances are I will only gain 2, like a maximum of 2 extends through the, through the course of playing the level. It can be a lot more if you're really good, but for me it's probably going to be 2. So if I show up to this level and I don't have any lives, there's a chance I will have 2 lives by the time I get to the boss if I don't get hit at all, you know? I always try to power through that pattern because it's honestly, like, to me, the hardest to dodge. This one's not necessarily hard to dodge as much as it is hard to remember what you need to do consistently. Oh, and then it starts having 2 that it throws at you, but the top one you can break if you shoot at it. Like, these things won't break with bombs, but they will break from being shot at. But the ones that, I like flew into that bullet. And so we try again. Oh, yep. I curved too much in my dodge. I should have dodged up and left instead of side, just purely to the side. Whatever, I'll accept it. Nope, that's unacceptable. Also, I gotta pee. Again. Let me know how you feel about this this gameplay experience. if watching me grind gets boring, we could switch to another game. But just let me know how you feel about it. Oh, that was crazy. Oh no, I always forget that he's gonna start shooting it at, like, where I'm at that moment. Oh no, I overdodged. The big problem I have playing these games is that I tend to move when I don't need to. Like, I just panic move, but like I could have literally stood still and been totally fine at that moment. Oh, I forgot I didn't have any bombs. Tried to bomb instead of dodging. Whatever. Losing a health there was not that big a deal. It's like I want to have my rank lower as close to the boss as possible. It's gonna happen, of course. Alright. Let's try this fucker again. Hopefully I don't get hit on the very first pattern like I did last time. With this pattern, I feel like at this rank, I should just try to dodge it and not even waste my special ammo, because I don't think it's such a big problem. I don't even think it was necessary to bomb there, but I was yapping too much and I got panicked. Oh, never mind. That time I did have to. The problem with bombing with this dude is that he puts his shield up if you bomb. Ended up wasting my ammo anyways. Shit, and I really needed it for this. This is the way worse pattern. Oh, I hate it. I hate dodging this. Oh no, I flew down into it. That was stupid. Oh no, no! I was feeling pretty good about that one. Have I played Truxton on Sega Genesis? No. But there's a new Truxton that just came out. I don't know if you heard about that. They made a sequel to it after 30 years or whatever. I was talking about that a little bit earlier. Which, you know, the shmup community seems a little divided on. There are some people who seem to like the new Truxton. Some people who think it's not that great. Particularly its issues are that it's like way too long and a lot of it is way too easy. But they brought back Junya Inoue for the artwork, who did like the art on a lot of the old 90s shmups. And he also did the manga Batum, she's probably better known for. But I don't think his art looks that good in the new games. Truxton Extreme, that's what it's called. I kept trying to think, like, what was the subtitle they put on it? Extreme! Oh, that was a stupid death to start. Didn't need to do that actually, but I had done some kind of miracle dodge for a second there. And that time I did need to do it, but I didn't. Unnecessary extra fire. My score is startlingly low, but it should pick up by the time of the boss. There's the extend. Oh, I don't know how I dodged that. That was like luck. I happened to be sitting in the hole between the bullets. Okay, so this is like an appropriate loadout for going against the boss. This is like what I'm expecting. This is more or less where I would expect to be at when I actually do this on a run. And I instantly lost a life, so that's great. The funny thing about this part is you can very easily just cancel that one like instantly. Same with this one. Oh fuck, I'm an idiot. I flew sideways into the bullet. Okay, a little bit of dodging. Okay. This is always the one that starts to give me trouble. Fuck. Damn it. I flew backwards into a bullet. too much panic movement. I'm telling you, my panic movement is fucked. Musha is another really good shmup for that console. I have not really played a lot of old shmups. I mean, I've played like a little bit of like R-Type and Gradius, but those games are fucking hard. I definitely prefer vertical shmups over horizontal ones, but I do like some horizontal games. Not anti-horizontal. I do need to set up a vertical monitor. I've done it before, I just don't have a convenient one at the moment, but I could make it happen. Do not like being against this guy with no bombs, because he feeds a lot of ammo through firing so much shit at me, so when I bomb all that, it converts into ammo. Now I've got no bombs or ammo, so probably taking a death, yeah, would be in my best interest. Especially because I got the extend right afterwards. Okay, we're actually in a slightly better state than last time. I just gotta not immediately die on the first pattern like last time. I think I'm at a lower rank than last time too, so that's cool. Give me big coin. Hose that one down. Got enough to mostly hose this one down too. It takes 12 ammo every time I shoot, so only having 6 means I can't, but it wasn't that bad. This is where it gets hard. Oh, and I flew directly into the bullet, so that helps a whole lot. Man. I hate dodging these big fucking orbs. Okay. Now he's gonna start dropping them vertically down on me. I actually don't find this as difficult to dodge as the previous pattern, but the problem is keeping him in your line of sight to shoot at. And these balls also get faster and faster as it goes. Fuck. Yeah. I also get really zeroed in and forget about bombing a lot, which this game has helped me tremendously with learning to bomb. Like, a big problem I used to have with all the shmups I played was just like never bombing, never thinking about it. Or like only death bombing in games that have death bombing. But in this game it is so beneficial to bomb that like I'm way more likely to do it. Fuck. Damn it. This mid-boss, like, I think the biggest thing that makes this so tricky is that there's no other challenge really like this in the game, where like stuff's coming at you from below like that until the final boss. And the whole dodging shit from below just is like a nightmare to me. haven't even hit 5 million yet. There we go. Fuck. Bad dodge. I hate getting into this boss with a shitload of bombs because they're not especially useful in this fight. The fact that even if you do use it to clear the screen, you know, just like as a defense mechanism, I don't think the boss actually gets hurt by bombs, and like he puts up a shield after you do it, so it's like actively making it more difficult to hit the boss if you bomb. I don't think you want to have no bombs for this fight, just because they can get you out of some sticky situations, but having 5 of them it definitely feels like, there were places I probably should have been using these. See, like, it would have been great if I could have instantly killed him after using that bomb, but because he had his shield up, then just prolonged the inevitable instead. This is the ultimate, don't overdo it. Don't move too much. Move just enough. And I wasted that because, oh, see, I moved too much. I did not need to move. I moved into the bullet. Still think I need practice on the mid-boss though. Until I can do this shit consistently, I'm gonna keep starting from here. Oh, flew into it. I definitely feel like I make this game look harder than it is. Not to say that it's not hard, but when you watch Burb play, he truly makes it look easy. Not Bird as in my husband, but Burb as in the high score player. Bird with a D refuses to play shmups. He has no interest whatsoever in the genre. Every time I suggest it to him, he says, "I'm good. No, I'm good." I don't know why I bombed there. I was completely out of the jungle. There's definitely a lot of moments in this game where like it looks harder than it is, and that's what kills me, is that I'm overreacting to perceived threat as compared to the actuality of the threat. Like right there. Wow, I hadn't even hit 5 million. That's great. Nope, I thought he was gonna die. I thought he was gonna pop. And I was dead ass wrong. Yeah, at least I have lots of ammo to deal with this bullshit. Okay, final pattern. I don't have nearly enough ammo to make this easy, so it's just gonna be me dodging bullshit for like a fucking solid 30 seconds. That was a panic bomb, and it was not necessary. Oh no! No! Oh, so close! Shit. Damn. That was not bad. That was obviously a better run than we've had so far. Okay, that was pretty good. Fuck, I thought I still had a bomb. Shit. Well, almost had a way better setup for starting this fight, but losing rank at that moment, if I'm gonna do it, was the best possible moment to lose rank. Besides after this first pattern. But look how easy it is at this rank. I don't know why I pressed the special there. That was pointless. Waste of ammo. Oh, I flew into the bullet. That old standby. Okay. No. Son of a bitch. Okay, well, we've made it to the final pattern. I have plenty of ammo and bombs, but I don't know if that'll protect me much. He just takes a shitload of damage in this. Like, this one last... That was a terrible dodge. This one last form he has significantly more health than the previous forms. I think I'm getting close to a point where I will start just doing the boss, though. I'm starting to feel more confident about this. No. See, I said that and then immediately fucked it up. Oh, I flew right into the green dude. That's a very rare way for me to die. So that's the thing, like, when you do a full run of the game, like, you never know what, like, really silly mistake you almost never make you're gonna make that just totally fucks your run. Which is why I want to be a lot more confident in this whole last segment before I try to do full runs. Like, you can do a lot to recover in this game if you fuck up relatively early, but when you're fucking up in the final stage, it's like, I don't really have enough room to recover from this, you know? Even just the fact that, like, I am more likely to get 2 extends starting from where I'm starting from than I would be in a full run makes me nervous. You know, it's like, well, even this is like a little bit easier than it should be. But I might not have my rank as high when I get there either, so in a certain sense it might turn out easier. Kind of wanted to die there because I wanted more bullets. Okay. Nope. Pop, you son of a bitch. Sometimes I bomb just so I can look at the boss's health bar for a second. Alright, once more, I have only 1 life and no ability to gain more, so it is what it is. Out of bullets. Didn't need to do that, but it's okay. Oh, did need to not be in that spot at that moment, though. The whole stream has not been shmup scary. The first 2 hours were conversation, but then people stopped people stopped asking me things, so I started playing shmups. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. The fact that I have been making it to the final form more consistently is heartening. But fuck me, it's so hard. Didn't need to bomb that moment, but whatever. Shit, I'm out of fucking ammo. Parts like this become way harder if you don't have any special ammo. Okay, I should get an extend after the first form, I think. If not, after the second form. Only level 2, so if I die on the first 2 forms, I will be quite embarrassed. Not a terrible moment to die. That was a terrible moment to die. Oops, I shouldn't have flown back. I should have flown forward. Oh, Iced Cactus, believe me, I've been saying a lot. The moving too much is my problem. Like, it is by far the biggest issue I have playing shmups is that I move too much. But you have to understand, it is just simply a consequence of ADHD and panic. It's like, I think part of the fun for me is just moving, like just constantly moving. Like the thought of sitting still, I don't know, it makes me feel like I'm not playing anymore and like I'm just gonna disconnect emotionally from what's happening. And then there's also times where I just panic and move when I really didn't need to. But yeah. Like, you'll notice that when there's nothing on screen, I find myself just doing little circles. It's just purely ADD. Reminding myself I still exist. But yeah, it really cracks me up, like when I'm watching other people play this game, and they're like moving so stoically by comparison. But it also doesn't look as fun when I watch them do that. Oh yeah, you're kind of just sitting there. That seems like a dumb perspective to have. What do you mean by that? It's not like I have a perspective on purpose. Okay. Oh. No. Slightly too late. Didn't need to fire again there. And a little bit of bullets. Oh. 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 You can simply change your perspective to be a more useful one. I don't know what you mean by that. All I can say is if it was that easy, the world would be a very different place. You got me stuck thinking about that statement. I'm baffled by what you have said. Oh. I don't think perspective is something that you can simply just change. You can have it change. As for routing, I would say there is a degree of routing that I've done. I would not say that I have by any means perfected a route. And I am not at the skill level to imitate the routing of the best players. Something I've come to realize through listening to a lot of really good players talk about how they play games is that I don't think that people who are really good at games really understand the perspective of people who aren't very good at them. Like, I think there is too much difference in the way that you think to understand what someone else is dealing with that is making it hard for them. And it's not that I don't think that those challenges can be overcome and that the gap can be closed, or at least, you know, shortened. But I do feel like a lot of the time the advice that high-level players give is like, you're talking about something that is so far ahead of what the lower-level players are actually struggling with that it's not necessarily that helpful. Which is fine. I don't think it's like necessarily makes it bad advice or anything. Like, you do need to know that stuff, but there's layers to it, you know? Levels. Many levels to skill. My skill level is novice. We all used to be low-level players. That's true, but not everybody spends that much time at the low level, you know? Some people advance a little bit more quickly, and a lot of it has to do with where you're coming from. Like, where did you start? What is your mentality? What are your natural, like what are you trying to overcome to get to where you're going, you know? It's kind of like when earlier I was giving it writing advice. Like, people were asking me like what, you know, do I do through my writing process and stuff like that. And like at one moment, you know, Marius Kiwi said like, oh yeah, I always make sure to read my scripts back. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot not everybody thinks to do that, because that's a lesson I learned when I was like 16. and I'm 35, you know? So, like, for 20 years, I've been reading back every sentence of my script out loud. Like, I have to remember that other people have to be told to do that. I had to be told to do that, you know, but it was 20 years ago. So, like, I'm just taking it for granted at this point. Like, yeah, of course. Like, who's not reading the script back, you know? But then I'm like, wait a minute, actually, I wasn't back then, you know? So it's like we've all made progress in certain fronts long ago. But when it comes to being like playing skill-based video games, I'm literally brand the fuck new. Like, never even attempted before. In any category. You know, like, there's no video game I have ever been what I would consider good at. So I'm like, as fresh as it could be, learning all of the lessons at once. And mostly, I'm just trying to get my reaction time and muscle memory to a level that it's like even passable. Like, I talked about this earlier on the stream, but, you know, like, it took me a while to get past the third boss in this game, and then it took me a longer while to get past the fourth boss in this game, and it's taken me a much longer while to now get past the fifth boss in this game. You know, which I got the clear on normal mode just for the sake of it, but now we're doing hyper, and, you know, I'm struggling just in practice, much less doing full runs. I come into shmups from a lifetime of playing game-ass games, which, like, I grew up around game-ass gamers, so, like, I get it, you know, but, like, that also was part of what had convinced me I'd never be one, was that, like, I knew people who've been playing, you know, Mega Man since they're in fucking middle school, and, like, that was not me, you know. I grew up mostly playing multiplayer games with my little brothers, and you know, my brother Victor eventually became more of a gamer's gamer, like, in high school, but that was a period where I wasn't really playing video games at all. Shit. And so, like, before this game, the hardest games that I have cleared are the FromSoft RPGs, which, if you ask any game-ass gamer, those are not hard games. You know, like, knowledge is 7/10 of the battle in those games. And so, like, I found them impossible when I first tried to play them, but then I watched everyone I know beat Dark Souls, and I'm like, oh, you know, if you know to put all your points into strength and vitality, the game's fucking easy, you know. But, like, I couldn't beat Sekiro because it required that slightly more skill, where you couldn't just stat max and plow through it. And, like, I loved the game, played the fuck out of it, but I got stuck on 7 different bosses at the same time and just could not make any progress for days before I finally just gave up. But I've become determined because I want gaming to be a part of my life, and, like, to be able to talk about video games with confidence. And I feel like the hardest part for me in talking about games is feeling like I'm not good enough at them. You know, like, I want to be good enough to be able to talk about the higher level systems in the games. And my favorite games to play are shmups, but I've never gotten very far into any of them. So I was like, all right, this is the year where I'm going to fucking do it, you know? Cozy games being thought of as not video games compared to skill games is ridiculous. I mean, it's not about, you know, what is or isn't a game. It's just more about, like, what is it tasking you to do, you know? Like, I love cozy games. You know, I have a whole channel dedicated to cozy games. And So it's not like I'm the type of person who, you know, turns my nose up at cozy or even easy. Like, not every cozy game is necessarily an easy game either, but it's just a difference of like, it's a difference of like understanding, where like this game, I could not have described to you what is good about this game until getting to the point where I could play this level at this level, you know, like play this stage, I mean, at this level. Like, even if I'm not good enough to clear it yet, I think I understand from like a design perspective what is so interesting about it. Like all the different little challenges it's making you do, what it takes to get through those challenges. You know, I've watched people who are good do it. But there's something about the kinetic experience of like actually tasking yourself to get good that, you know, you can feel it affecting your brain. Like I did a whole video about this, of course, on the Halo on PlayStation channel, about expanding how we think of the word exploration in video games, because what I am doing right now is exploration. Like, I am trying to figure out what difference does it make if I am, you know, 3 pixels to the right versus 3 pixels to the left. Where is the better place to be at what moment, you know? And the more I play it, the more I physically learn it, you know, like my body is figuring out what to do. And I am way better at learning through muscle memory than through trying to, like, if I watch somebody else play, it's really hard for me to internalize what they're doing if I haven't already done it like a bunch of times, you know? Like, this is an exploration. You are wrong. Go watch my video about it. If you haven't seen the video I'm talking about, you should watch that. This is exploration. I spent 40 minutes explaining in that video what I mean by that, so I'm not going to get into it while I'm in the middle of doing it, but learning is exploration. Or rather, I should say, exploration is learning. Like, what you do when you explore is you learn. That's what makes exploration exciting. Shit. The human brain is built to crave understanding and knowing where things, using it too broadly. Go watch the video that I made about this, and you can leave a comment on that video with your thoughts about what I say in it. Because I'm not trying to get into the nitty-gritty of something I already explained for 40 minutes. If you don't like language deconstructivism, then you're probably not going to have a good time with a lot of what I have to say in all of my content. That is a pretty persistent theme of what I do. Shit. I've got mail. Interesting. Oh, Kino, it's a friend of mine. I got mail from Kino. Probably art. Oh, hell yeah. It's my birthday illustration. Thank you, Kino. Hell yeah. Says happy B-Day and got a cool little cat on the back drawn in pen. Iced Cactus, you don't seem like the type of person I'd agree with on very many things through what you're saying right now. The fact that you care about words having specific meanings is not something I really jive with. I'm very anti-authoritarian. Bomba! A lot of bombs, which are what I really don't need for this, but we'll see what happens. Yep. Oh man. Yeah, I gotta say, rendering things meaningless, not something I find a problem in general. I don't really believe in an inherent meaning to anything. I don't think meaning is what you should be worried about. Like when people act like what is the meaning of life is like this ultimate question. It's like it really doesn't matter what the meaning is. It's happening. Just gotta deal with the fact that it is in fact happening. Ugh. Alright. I'm done. I've gotten too deep into my thoughts now to play arcade game. Considering how long you spent explaining what you meant, I don't think this falls into the category of a lazy degradation of meaning for an established word at all. No, that's why I said to go watch the 40-minute video I made about it instead of arguing about it in chat. But we'll see if they show up in the comments of that video. Language and I have an interesting relationship because I'm very protective of how I use it, and I don't necessarily like how other people use it. And so I inevitably get into a lot of fights over the way that language is used, where I'm like, no, that's my baby. That's not your baby. That's my baby. I get to say how the word is used. I get to say what the word means. I care about it more than you do, I promise. I'm a bigger language practitioner, a prouder language parent. And I think my language deserves freedom. I want my children, my words, to have the freedom to live the life that they choose. I believe my words should be allowed. If somebody, if my words want to go off with some fool and do some dumb shit, they can do that. It's their right. They're living creatures. My words. I'm guessing that Iced Cactus took off after I said I don't think we'd agree on very much, but when someone starts complaining about people projecting liberal perspectives onto things, I'm like, okay. I don't know if you know who I am, but you're not acting like it. Gary, you're the only one who's still in chat. What's going on, Gary? Should I wrap this stream up? I've been going about 3 hours. Anime is a Japanese colloquialism. This is true. Comes from shortening the word animation. Anime. Could you imagine if I was like going around telling people it's anime, not anime? Like, dog, it's an English word. I've been in the trenches trying to sell people on the appeal of games. Like, I think most people understand the appeal of games, but if you mean like, arcade games, I get you. I think the best way to sell people on the appeal of something is to convince them that it's fun. Convince them that you can have fun doing it. Or even if it's not fun, that maybe you'll gain something. Like, a lot of people watch movies that aren't fun just because they might get something emotionally out of it. And I do think there's something like that to games as well. What were the first 2 hours of the stream? I came in late. It was a whole lot of yapping. It was like I talked about getting hacked. I talked about my recent music talk videos. Ice Cap this. Most so-called Marxists online will adamantly express liberal or libertarian beliefs about games because they hold immense contempt for them and what they are. I think that a lot of people online just hold immense contempt for everything. I think a lot of people on the internet are just sad and cannot help themselves. They hate that they can't map on traditional narrative emotions onto the extremely abstract emotions that struggle against mechanics illicit. No, I agree with that. I agree with that point you're making there. I think that if you want to convince more people to enjoy games, you should just take the word Marxist out of your vocabulary entirely. Because when I hear that word from anyone, I don't care what your political position is, if you say the word Marxist, my first thought is you have spent too much time online. Like, you have officially been online too long. You're talking about an 1800s ideology that nobody cares about. You know, just when people hear Marxist, their brain shuts off. They go, "Oh no, not this." You know. So like, you know, I just ignore if somebody starts talking about Marxist. I'm just like, oh no. Yeah, I don't want to hear anything about Karl fucking Marx. That guy doesn't even have like a facial hair that people still use. You know, like you can tell someone is like from a bygone era when they don't even have a facial hair that people still have. That's when you know you're just like, oh no. Using it as a shorthand. I'm saying just it's not worth it. It's not worth using Marxist as a shorthand because it's only going to make me think of hyper onlineness. Like nobody offline talks about Marxism, you know? Like I have to emphasize, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I've heard both sides of this problem. You know, I've seen the people who are doing the thing you're talking about and I'm annoyed with them. And I also know, like, I totally disagree with that, like what those people are doing. You know, like the kinds of games analysis that only cares about narrative in like the very obvious sense is like a terrible, you know. I've been berated and exiled and tone policed by other T-girls for talking about my perspective on games. That is unfortunate. I've been forced to learn to just trust myself and my beliefs. Well, that's a good thing. Like, I don't trust fucking anybody, you know? And to stop succumbing to resentment. Yeah, I have very, very little trust for anyone's takes or opinions or way of life or anything. Games as narrative has always been a poison. Like, I get where you're coming from. I think that I don't think this is as much of a like liberal arts problem as you might think it is. I think it is more about an ease of access to understanding, that like people are used to conventional narratives because they communicate very directly. And so people will champion things that are easy to understand. And when something is hard to understand, people are always going to, you know, they're going to have a harder time getting into it. And like when it comes to a video game literally challenging you to physically learn how to do something, that is as challenging as having to learn new words to read a book or having to, you know, process an art film or whatever. Like, most of the stuff that is beloved by even critics is not like the most advanced stuff. You know, it's the most accessible, obviously interesting stuff. And so I think that, you know, to me, the narrative of me playing Blue Revolver for the last month is infinitely more interesting than the narrative of The Last of Us. You know, like, that is not an interesting narrative to me. Like, that game is goofy as fuck, and I think it's just not even like very good. But like, I get why other people will look at that and go like, oh, this is like the most emotive narrative. And I'm like, I really disagree. Like, the emotions I'm feeling from playing this game are so much stronger than the emotions I felt playing that game. Um, that to me, this is what I would call the deeper, more emotional experience. But it's because I'm regarding emotions as like something physical happening inside of you. It's not, emotions aren't like I cried because the scene had pretty music and now I know it's a 10 out of 10 because it made me cry or whatever. It's like, no, it's the feeling of going through it that is what I really consider important. People want games to serve them instead of respecting games. I think this really I promise you this goes beyond video games. Like, the issues you're having, I see this in every medium that I'm involved in. People want it people want to be served by their media. Gary always at $2 says capitalism, liberty forever. I think everybody wants everything to be easy because everybody feels like life is hard and I can't deal with it. And like, doing challenging things is what gets you out of that mentality. Like, people are thinking, oh, I need another easy thing. I need another easy thing. I need another win. And it's like, that isn't how you learn how to cope. Like, you learn how to cope by challenging yourself and doing hard things and, improving your sense of self-worth and your sense of personal ability. And a lot of people don't want to listen to that. And I do think that what you're saying, like, the blue sky social democrat people are the ones who express that more openly. They're more like, oh, I don't, like, I think a lot of the people on the other side of the aisle are saying the opposite and not exhibiting it in their behavior. Like, I think a lot of the soft, lefties are saying like, well, games should be soft for me because I shouldn't have to do hard things. And a lot of people on the other side are going, I do hard things all the time. And meanwhile, they don't do anything hard. Like, I just think it's a global, it's a universal, non sided, non political problem of people just want life to be easy. And they're going to completely shun anything that seems challenging to them unless it's the type of person who likes a challenge. And like, I think you just gotta find yourself in good company and stay there when it comes to that kind of thing. Don't try to win over the people who aren't in the thing with you. Just enjoy the people who are in the thing with you. um I think the average person wants to be the people in Wall-E. Yeah, kinda. You have good friends who respect you. That's good. Yeah, I think as I think that trying to convince people of something it's like, I think the easiest way to convince people to do something is not to tell them to do it, but simply to do it and look like you're having a lot of fun and then get them jealous of you. Like, I think jealousy compels more action than any amount of attempt to persuade. Like, I have been trying to get my friends into shmups, and like, there's a couple of people who already play hard games or already are interested in the genre, so it hasn't been that hard to get them. But there's a lot of people who I've been like, you should do this thing. Like, I think it's really cool. I think you'll have a good time. And they just no interest, no, thinking about it. And I'm like, well, okay, if I make it impossible for you to have a conversation with me where I don't bring in shmups, then either we're going to stop being friends or you're going to get into shmups, like it's going to be one or the other. Like, some people are going to be lost to the wayside, some people just never going to get into the thing I'm into. But if I think if I made it, so it's like, well, I really like you and you are really into this thing, so now I want to do this thing so I can do it with you. Maybe that'll convince some people, Yeah, like, again, I don't think telling people that they can get into something is going to get them into it, It's just a matter of like showing them, you know. Tell them, send them videos of people who suck having a good time, like, cuz like I am, I was one of those people. Like, the fact that I'm as far into this game as I am, there's no possible way I thought that was going to happen until I, first of all, dedicated myself, and second of all, like, listened to people in, like, the No Miss podcast, which if you haven't heard that, as a shmup fan, I would highly recommend it. There's a channel called Samsonite STG, and I found Samsonite because I just happened to buy Mushihime-sama the same day that he put out a video about it. And Samsonite does, like, he'll show a video of his 1cc and he commentates over it about like what he had to learn and how he got there. And he's not like a high score player, he's not like a master or whatever, he's just like a guy who likes the genre and gets good enough to 1cc the games, And he started a podcast where on each episode he interviews somebody from the shmup community. And the first one I ended up watching is his interview with this guy, Pan. Now, Pan, who also does not consider himself a super high-level player, but what he does is he, gets to the point of a clear and then makes guides to how to clear safely. Like, it's purely survival play. He's like, too many videos are just about how to get a high score. I'm going to show you just how to do the bare minimum to survive. And he makes videos that are survival play, shmup content. And so, in the interview, they're talking, and both of them are like, yeah, I never thought I'd be able to, like, beat one of these until I just put my head down and kept trying, and, I was passionate about the genre, and I wanted to like it, so I, learned to do it. And, like, both of them were very encouraging of, like, even if you're not good, post your videos. Like, we need more content, because if the only thing you ever see is the highest level play, then it just makes you feel like, oh, these people are like aliens, they're like, they're just a totally different species or whatever. But, like, if you're posting your progress, like, we can watch you progress and help you and stuff. And I don't know if you were here, Iced Cactus, earlier when I was talking about this, but I have a shmup channel that I started with posting my Blue Revolver progress. And so July 1st, I could not get past stage 2. I think I get through stage 3 in like 11 days or so, and then it takes me until like the start of August to get through stage 4. And now I'm practicing stage 5. But I've been uploading my progress each time I get like a new high score. And on a lot of these videos, I've got comments from the world record holder of the game telling me what I need to do. Like, well, not these last couple ones, but where was the last one where Burb commented? God damn it. I know it was sooner than, or more recent than this. I must have clicked. Oh, you know what? It's because we've been talking in the Shmup Discord, not on my videos as much. But like each time I upload one of these, I go into the Shmup Discord and I post it there, and then Bird will tell me advice, or Faith, who's another high-level player, will tell me advice, and like, you know, it feels like we're working through this together because they want more people to be into the game, obviously. They want to see more high-score competition. They want to see, you know, people developing a love for the genre and getting deeper into it. So they're trying to nurture that. And, like, so I think that the shmup community is actually doing a really great job at getting people like me who are noobs, who don't know what we're doing, and trying to, you know, hone it. I've been observing you the whole time here. Okay, yeah. You know, like, for me, it's not as much just about, like, oh, I want to get good at this one game, as much as it is, like, I want to develop the skills and the mindset to play hard games, period, you know? The Chuds Wand being good at games is fascist now. That's what I'm trying to work against, you know? But I'm fighting so many social battles at once. You know, I am myself a trans woman. I am myself a hard leftist, you know, but I totally believe in hard games are good, get good, you'll have a better time, you know. I don't think that, like, I'm not making a value judgment on a person if they don't want to or can't. But I do suspect that a lot of people very easily could get good and just won't, you know, like, I'm uniquely bad at video games compared to most people who are gamers. So, like, I know plenty of people who could obviously beat this game substantially faster than I could and would have a good time, and they just don't want to, you know. They don't get it, and the only way they're going to get it is through persistent attempts to convince them, you know. Or just giving up on it and just going, okay, whatever. You're never going to play the games I like. You know, have fun over there with whatever. They'll never admit that that's why, because they need to protect their egos. I'm sure that's true for a lot of people. Something that I hear a lot of when it comes to shmups is people just don't like playing games where you lose progress. And every time they say that, I'm like, the game is 20 minutes long. Like, there's no progress to lose. And it's fun the whole time, you know? Let's do a full run. I'm not going to probably make it to the end, but let's just do a full run to express, you know, how fun this game is. So, if you can't tell, if you've never played this game, anybody watching, see where it says 8 hit up there? That's your chain. Every time you destroy an enemy, it adds to the chain, but it caps out at 8. And then if you use your special move when you have an 8 chain, then you gain more points for each thing you destroy during that period. You notice I bombed the boss, and it didn't actually hurt the boss because the boss was still spawning in, but it did keep the chain at 8, so that when I flourished, it's called a flourish, when I did that, it gave me more points for each part I destroyed on the boss. So, like, that's not something you would ever figure out your first time playing this. And, like, it's not something that you have to get better at dodging to figure out, you know, like, it's not a skill-based thing, it's a knowledge-based thing. I knew better than I used to know. And that's what makes it interesting. Right here, like, I knew a bunch of enemies were going to come in from the left there, so I destroyed them to get my 8 count back before I blew up those 2 big ships, because those ships will drop tremendously more points if I have an 8 hit before I flourish. So like that little tactical stuff, like I could easily have reached this boss with less than 1 million points in the bank, but I have 3 million points in the bank, which means I will definitely hit 5 million by the time I beat this boss. And so just there I got a break. Like I destroyed the parts of the boss in a specific way that gives you a point bonus. And so I now have over 5 million, which means I gained an extra health. And so that gives me not only more longevity in that I can now live longer, but it also gives me more opportunity to sacrifice lives on purpose to get more bombs. If you bomb at the right moment, you get more ammo, and if you use the ammo at the right moment, you get more points. Now at this stage, I haven't routed it well enough to know exactly when are the best moments to flourish, but generally I know that so different enemies have different point values. So like those little helicopters and these turrets have higher point values than the other enemies, like the little boats and stuff. So generally, if you can spare the helicopters and the turrets while you collect your your 8-hit chain through destroying the smaller enemies, then you can flourish on the bigger guys and just get way more points out of them. That was an accidental death, but it's fine. Not a big deal to die right there with as many points as I have. Now see, like with that boat, to get that break, I had to destroy everything that was on the boat first before actually blowing up the boat itself. It gives you a massive point bonus. Now, I didn't get the break on that little plane there because I'm not good enough at this segment to confidently do that. So I just took it out as quickly as possible. If I had tried to get as many points there as possible, then it might have been the case that even if I died, I would have gotten so many points that I would gain another life anyways, and it would have been worth dying. But I don't have the routing down for that, so I didn't bother. On a normal survival run, performing like every single break, not super necessary. But some of them are just so easy to get that it's just like, well, why wouldn't you do that one? It's free points. But yeah, like this is the kind of thing where I feel like if I'm going to sell people on playing this game, the only way to really do that is to demonstrate how much fun I can have with this game, even though I'm not very good at video games. But like, it took me 32 hours to get this good, I couldn't even get past stage 2 the first couple times I played, and now I'm past stage 2 with 3 extends, 2 bombs, and a full ammo kit. And I hit my 1500 extend before I even started stage 3, which is pretty good point pace. For me, at least. If you were to watch Burb play with the same loadout I'm playing with, the score would probably be about double what it is by this point. Like, you can't see it because I'm blocking it with the picture of myself. My personal best high score is 71 million. I have seen completions of the game with lower scores than that, and I have also seen like 215 million or something like that is Burb's high score. So yeah, there is a lot of skill ceiling above what it takes to just beat the game. See, I kept one of those guys alive as long as possible so that I could keep my chain going into this segment so that I would get more points from destroying the front part of this ship. I could have done better about all that. I was kind of panicking because I didn't realize I was out of ammo while I was doing it. But it wasn't the worst performance of that I've ever done. I gotta say, all the practice I've done on the final stage has made the earlier stages feel so much easier than they used to feel. Like, they just throw so much less bullshit at you than the final stage. I know it's big talk from somebody who did lose a health on stage 2, but by this point in a Burb run, he would have probably died on purpose like 12 times or something. Maybe that's exaggerating, but you know, a number of deliberate deaths would have occurred by now. You get a free extend right there from destroying that mid-boss. Now this part, like, Burb would definitely die on purpose here. And I probably will die on accident here, but like, you're throwing away a lot of points if you don't have enough bombs or ammo to recoup bombs here. Because basically this stage is like a deprivation stage. Like it very rarely gives you refills on anything. So it's like you really got to use your ammo wisely, or you know, gain enough points that you can die a lot to regain a lot of ammo, which is really the champion way to do it. But shit, that was a total waste I did there on that second fire. But yeah, you can see that like those green things drop a pretty hefty amount of points. The big machines drop a pretty hefty amount of points. So if I get my point total pretty close to 30 million by the end of this, it might be worth dying just because I can gain so many more points by having, you know, ammo and bombs again. Like right now would be a good time to die. But I am pretty close to the end of this segment, and I might die against the third boss anyways because I'm not like a master of it. So I just decided to stick it out. If I die against the boss, that's fine. I have a level 5 right now, so there's a pretty strong chance I'm dying against this boss like immediately. But we'll see what happens. That was a crazy dodge. Didn't get the break. Almost did. Sometimes with this game, you really just want to fire your main gun less, because sometimes you destroy the enemy too quickly to get the break that you're trying to get by doing it in a special order. Or like if you break parts off of the enemy, then you'll get more points, but if you destroy it before you break all those parts off, you're not maximizing your point potential. I tend to hold down fire all the time because I'm afraid of not. I want it to be over faster more than I want it to be a higher point total. But, you know, scoring is survival in this game, so there's an extent to which it is going to help you out even more if you can milk instead of just trying to get it over with. That was a very close one. I almost did not bomb fast enough to live there. Like, I knew I was going to bomb. Oh, shit. That was a mistake. I thought he was dead. I didn't realize he still had health left. But this run is not thrown away just yet. And the fact that I got my rank all the way down to level 1 at the start of the stage is probably a good thing, because it means that even by the end of the stage, there's almost no chance it'll be all the way up to level 5 again, I don't think. And this stage is not usually that hard for me. I find stage 3 kind of harder because it's really deprives you of ammo, and this stage gives you enough. it just throws a little bit more at you. But this stage is definitely one where like knowing the routing matters a lot more to your success. But I also think this game usually gives you enough time to remember where you're at. Like, I don't really have to memorize the whole level because the enemies come in kind of slow. So it's like you see it and then you immediately think, oh right, I'm here. And then you kind of do the thing you know you're supposed to do there. Whereas some games, it's like if you can't predict what's going to be on the next screen, you are completely fucked. I only ever have tried playing Ikaruga like once, but before I was really getting into shmups, and it was just like, you know, so fucking perilously hard that I was like, no, this is not going to be my game. I'm sure I'll end up giving it another try eventually. It is like the biggest gateway shmup by far, and I think the reason for that is if you owned a GameCube, you definitely saw that game reviewed really well. Like, it got crazy good critical reviews when it came out. There are some great Electric Underground videos about, like, why Ikaruga kind of, like, it's almost unfair, where, like, it's not that the game doesn't deserve the great reviews, it's that so many other great games also did but didn't, and Ikaruga got, like, so much credit for things that other games don't get credit for. But, you know, at least it exists to continue to bring new people into the genre. I think, like, it seems to me like the biggest game from recent years to do this is Zero Ranger, like, which is also a game that, you know, shmup fans do love. So it's not like it's a bad thing for the genre that's you know, a popular game, but just something about the fact that it does things a little bit differently has drawn in lots of people who don't ordinarily show any interest in this genre, are like, oh yeah, Zero Ranger caught my attention. And then it's kind of like you get into it and you're like, where has this been all my life? Like, why was I passing these off? But that is why, that's why gimmicks have always been a great marketing tool, you know? Like, a strong gimmick will get people interested in something they might not otherwise. And I would say both of those games do strong use of particularly aesthetic gimmicks. Alright, this is like the best run even though I did die once, this is like the best run of this boss I've ever had. Now, to get the break on this boss, you're actually just supposed to dodge every single one of these bullets, and eventually he just runs out. So it's like, this is a great place of, yeah, you want to fire a little bit because you have to fire to go slow. But, it's better if... Oh, no! No, that wasn't a place I wanted to die. Come on. Now I definitely need to get the break so I can get the point. Yeah, okay, cool. I got an extend off the break, but I did not want to go into the final level with only one. God damn it. Well, alright, you've all seen this bit. But hey, I'm coming in at level 1, so this might be way easier than it's actually been in practice. That is the benefit of doing a full run compared to... Because I've been practicing with starting at level 4 each time. So... I had a feeling it's possible. Oh shit, that was a stupid place to die. No, I'm yapping too much. What have I done? Alright, I probably just killed this run by dying there, but... Like, there was a point in this level where it would have been fine to die, like, you know, maybe once my rank had gone up a bit, but that was not a fun place to die. if I want to get through this. I can still potentially gain another life before the level is over if I get a lot of points. But it's hard to get a lot of points when you don't have any lives to spare, so I don't know. This is dicey. This is very dicey. Definitely don't think I'm going to beat my personal best. There was a interview I listened to with the creator of this game, Donbo. Actually, I think he was talking about different games. Like, it wasn't even a conversation about this game, but a conversation he was having with Electric Underground about Euro shmups, where at one point he just mentions, like, yeah, I really love enemies that if you don't take them out right away, then, like, they become a huge problem. And the more I play this stage, the more I'm just like, oh, do you, Donbo? Oh, do you like that kind of enemy? Because particularly, I think there's a moment like this about to come up where, like, those guys that just kind of look like a big mechanical head that usually drop down in groups of 3, like, they're very easy to get rid of if you have any special. But if you leave them on screen for, like, a second, then they become a huge fucking problem because they just fill the screen with bullets. These guys. Like, see how they do that fucking horizontal line of bullets? Like, when you have to deal with that on top of other enemies, it's just such a problem. Alright, I did get the extend. This is the hardest screen in this level because of this, what I'm talking about. Like, if I don't take these guys out fast enough, this becomes such a pain. And there is, like, kind of a dodging pattern that can make it a little easier, but I feel like I got lucky there. And now I have no ammo to deal with this fucker with, so... Nope, I didn't mean to fly backwards into that at all. Didn't get the break there, even though I broke off both of his limbs. Sometimes I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing wrong when I get a break wrong. No, oh, how did I live through that? I thought that was the end. I thought the run was over there. That was fucking nuts. That was the most lucky to be in the right exact spot fucking maneuver ever. Okay, but I still have no fucking ammo and no lives with which to regain ammo. So even if I make it to the final boss, which I don't think I've actually yet made it to the final boss on a complete run before. So if I do, it'll be the first time. Okay, yeah. This I think is the first time I've ever actually made it to the final boss on a full run. I have to get to at least... I might have to get to his final form to beat my personal best score, as I have not been scoring as high as I have on some of my previous runs. Nope, that's it. GG, everybody. GG. I've got a super chat here from Butthole Weeb. How much do I have to pay you to review Pokemon designs again? I've watched your old ones like 100 times and currently am again. Do it with Burb Stork. I will consider it. The problem with doing that is it takes a fucking eternity. And I don't think I find it as entertaining as you do, but But I have considered it. Maybe we can work out a quote. I don't know. We'll kickstart it. All right. I'm going to wrap up the stream now. This was fun. This was interesting. This went in some interesting directions. I feel like me and that iced cactus person maybe agree on more things than it seems like, but they're just they're a little more mad at the liberal media that I am. I think you can do language deconstructivism without having to be a you know, libtard about it. But then again, I am a libtard, so. But I'm a different breed. I am my own beast, my own animal, my own creature. Okay, everybody. Thanks for watching. I had fun. I'm confident I can beat this fucking game on Hyper. I think I can do it. I think it is possible for me. I don't know how many more hours it's going to take, but I'm committed. I will be playing other video games in the meantime. I want to beat this game so I can move on. Like, it's not that I'll never play it again. I will definitely play it again. I don't want to lose like my focus and then never end up clearing it because I'm doing too much other shit. But I'm also so ready to be beaten this game and moved on to trying this hard at another game. But at the same time, I haven't played another game as hard as this that I've enjoyed as much as this. So it might take a while to actually, wrestle me off of this one. Anyway, good night, everybody. See you in a video soon.